You're listening to the Plane Talking UK podcast, the UK-based podcast written by a passenger for anyone. And here are your hosts, Carla Stebbings, Matt Smith and Neville Bounds.
Well, hello and welcome to episode number 264 of the Plane Talking UK podcast. I'm Carl Stebbings, and joining me with a very full belly in the PTUK studios is my co-host Matt Smith.
You ain't kidding. Yes,
we have just had an epic meal.
That is a word. That is definitely a word.
Cooked for us by our special guest.
Indeed, absolutely. I am so full.
How are you, Matt?
I need to lie
Apart
down.
from being full.
I need a nap. That is exactly what I need.
And
yes, I'm all right.
Nev really missed out on that, didn't
He did, absolutely, yeah.
Well, I could hear all about it. I could hear you eating away downstairs when I was in the studio.
I'd left the mics
what they're eating. It sounds really nice, actually.
I'm glad we didn't say anything we shouldn't.
So joining us this week, he's back. He's back to, what are we saying now? Back to about 98%?
Oh, a bold 90%.
90%?
Yeah.
Okay, back
I'm
to
so
90%. He's back, of course. It is Neville Bounds.
Hello, everybody. Yes, sorry about last week. I had to bail out halfway through. I only get a cold about once every 3 years, but when I get one, I go downhill very quickly indeed. But I'm pleased I'm back with you now. I've given it to Mrs. Nev, so she's delighted about that. But I'm okay now. So
right. Well, I mean, obviously that's the main thing. Yes, of course.
Running on all
absolutely.
four.
Actually, you mentioned Mrs. Nev there, sir. I was casually trundling my way through Twitter earlier today.
Yes.
He says, frantically trying to find it, and then this sort of appeared on my Twitter feed. This
Well,
little.
You've heard about podcast royalty. Well, this is real royalty.
Actual royalty.
The Princess Royal turned up at Sue's place of work this week and was introduced to all members of staff there. So that was very nice. And I think she's popping around for a coffee tomorrow, probably.
Well, I mean, I expect nothing less. I mean, frankly, obviously, it is, that's why we call you Sir Neville of Bounds, obviously, because one is fraternising with.
I'll tell you what, she'll definitely love Nev's banana.
Beg your pardon.
Well, anyway, moving on.
Anyway, hashtag orcs.
I think she didn't make it in because it was very foggy on the Monday of this week, and her helicopter landed in a local school field, but they had to delay the visit slightly because of the fog. But she was anyway. So being introduced to Sue, which was very nice.
So
for both of them.
Were you there as well, sir?
Oh no! I was doing
sorry.
something fun.
No,
so it was just yeah.
How rude.
So this week, I was going to say, this week Armando can't join us, unfortunately,
No.
but he does have a very good excuse.
He does, yes. It's his. Now, it's not his passing out parade, because that's what you do at the start, isn't it? Is it his falling out parade or something like that?
Retirement.
It's
his retirement due. But he's having that back over in the stateside area of things, and he's having a very nice time, apparently.
I dare say.
Getting all dressed up and stuff. And it's safe to say it's very much a family affair, because I know Meg and the youngest one will be there as well to cheer him on.
Megan, the youngest one. Okay. He'll be telling you off next week for that.
I know. But no, I hope you're having fun, Armando.
Yeah.
He did say he may well dial in at some point during the show, but he may or may not.
We have everything all prepped just in case.
Just in case.
So, we're fingers crossed. We're hoping that
but
we may hear from him during the show.
But he has sent us in a very, very special military segment for you, the guys, this week, which is a video, and it's featuring a incredibly iconic aircraft, which I'm sure you will all love.
Looking forward to
coming
playing
up
that
later.
out. Yeah,
but
absolutely.
we have, as you could probably see, for those of you watching in YouTube world, a very special guest on tonight's show, and that is, well, what can I say? She puts the P in pilot. It is, of course, the lovely Mila.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you for having me.
He specialises in embarrassing intros, by the way. That is his given
Very
specialist
much so.
subject.
So I made dinner, and it was very nice.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, Nev could hear the yummy noises all the way in Stone, to be fair.
So
Lots of love in the chat room from Mila. How are you anyway, Mila? How's things in the sort of 28,000, 30,000 feet?
Oh, well, we don't go that high.
Don't you?
No. Flight level 190.
Oh, okay.
210. That's it about. But yeah, it's good. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, I love it. So there you go.
Yeah. You need to put more pictures on Instagram because you put a few on Instagram of the various shots from the flight deck, which are awesome. Want to see some more of those?
Well, some
Cool.
people are a bit too busy flying the aeroplane.
She's not busy.
But, honestly.
You must have at least 2 autopilots on that aircraft.
Good
Yes.
Lord, right.
Yeah.
Here we go. Actually, I should just say, if you don't mind me doing so, Carlos, and that is our background for those of you watching on the
yes.
world of YouTube today. Now, I had a very nice sort of unplanned trip to Heathrow last Sunday, and I was able to actually take said photograph. This is actually taken from Heathrow's air traffic control tower.
We're gonna test you, Matt.
Oh no!
What aircraft is that in the picture?
Oh no!
Think, Matt. Think what it is. Come on.
Think Boeing.
Yeah.
No, don't.
I'm gonna say 737-800.
No,
I don't know.
No,
I literally don't.
no.
There's only one
no.
aircraft that I know of Boeing.
I'll give you a clue.
If it's a 75, I'm
no,
going to burn that photograph.
No. I'll give you a hint.
Oh.
It's incredibly uncomfortable. It's horrible.
Oh, it must be a 76.
No. What else can I say about it? Really, it's noisy, uncomfortable.
Right.
Not my favourite aircraft to fly back from Las Vegas on. Put it that way.
Oh. Now, if I actually listened to what came out of your mouth a lot of the time, then,
Which is never.
I might stand a chance of. No, I don't.
Right, I'm gonna give you the first clue. I'll give you the first clue.
Right. Okay.
Right, it's an Airbus.
Oh. Okay. Well, it's definitely not a 380. I know that.
No, God, no.
No, because it's too small for a 380.
Very good, very good.
So
very
it is
good.
an Airbus, did you say?
Yes.
Oh, it is an Airbus. Okay. I'm going to say an A321 then.
No.
No. Okay.
Nev,
Because
give me another
they do
clue.
the long range one now, don't they? So it is possible for an A320. Because didn't I see something in the Twitter feed that you were involved in, Nev? That was talking about the long range A321.
Yes, there is the A321 LR,
Yeah.
but that is not that aircraft.
No. Okay.
So it's not an A321. It's a slightly bigger one than that in
Right.
terms of numbers.
Oh, is it?
If it's
Yeah. I'll give you a clue.
Oh,
Nick,
hang on.
Nick predominantly flies or has flown the A340 quite a lot.
A350.
But he is currently flying, well, when he's back to work, this particular aircraft more, because he's rated on this particular
Pip's
aircraft.
just said in here, burn him, which is a bit harsh. I honestly, A350, I've no idea.
Right, I'm going to give you a big clue here. We're going to drop this one right in.
To be
Right,
fair,
are
mate,
you
you
ready?
could give me as many
No,
clues as you like. I'm not going to get it.
Are you ready? Ready? It's not an A320. It's not an A340 or 50 or
Must
80.
be an A330 then.
Yay!
Right, I need to lie down in the darkened room. This is not funny.
Oh dear.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very sorry that I am so rubbish at this. I'll tell you what. For the rest of the show, I'll just sit here and press buttons. How does that sound? I'm quite good at that.
To be fair, I have to say that if it was a Boeing on that picture, Matt would have probably got it straight away.
Would I?
Yeah.
Dreamliner?
Yeah, you would have got
Yeah,
it. You would have
yeah.
got it straight away.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, to be fair, wouldn't I have been able to tell because they wouldn't have any engines on them?
Yeah.
No? Okay.
It's not far wrong there.
No, indeed.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Now that you've
as
finished
I was saying,
making fun
beating
of me,
Matt up on the show. So as I said at the beginning of the show, we've got loads of news stories to get through this week, and we've also got a fan that's fallen
off.
in front of me. We've got a... as I
honestly,
said,
Nev, if you could see the cable management in here, you would
Cable
have an
management.
actual meltdown.
I don't want to say it.
No, you don't.
we've got the
My
awesome
OCD.
segment sent in by Armando, which is the military segment for this week. And and thought at the end of the show we'll have a little chat with Mila and have a catch up and see what
Absolutely.
we've been
Little one.
doing.
Just a
tiny one.
Just a tiny
Tiny one.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Just explain how to take off, that's all.
All right,
Oh.
I can do that.
So we are going to start the show then.
Oh, I suppose I got...
After I've said hello to everyone in the chat room tonight. How'd you go in there?
I like it. Yes, he's busy stalling.
I know. A big welcome to everyone who's joined us in the live YouTube chat room this evening. All the usual family members in there. including Pilot Pip. He's joined us tonight as well, by the looks of it there. He's keeping an eye on things.
There's a very disturbing conversation going on in the chat room at the moment. I'm not going to read it out. Anyway.
Oh, okay. And date and time. It's the 12th of April today. We're April.
I know. It's whizzing away.
10 past 7 in the evening here in the UK. And welcome to everyone, as I said, who's joined us in the YouTube chat room. So we are going to start the show then, as we do each week, with our rundown of
excuse me.
the weekly
I have a
news.
complaint here. No, sorry, it's Sir Captain of Jeff has just put in here, what a bunch of losers, except Mila, of course. I mean, there is some truth in that. Yeah, absolutely. You tell him.
We're the winners. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I haven't. That's it. Beat up the guest. Brilliant. Anyway, while he's doing that, we're going to do some aviation news. Here we go. And I've broken it. It's really... I'll try that again. Oh, it's seamless.
Seamless. How many times have you done this? Rude.
They'll never know. It's all right. I'll cut it out in the edit. It's fine.
So, kicking off this week's first news story on the IB Times, internationalbusinesstimes.com. And the headline, airline passenger opened emergency exit, tried jumping out after plane landed and, funnily enough, got arrested. So, an El Al passenger tried to jump out of an aircraft after opening the emergency exit of a flight that landed at New York's JFK airport on Wednesday. The incident happened after flight LY001 from Tel Aviv to New York, carrying 400 passengers, arrived at the gate at around 9 p.m. The male passenger, who was only identified as a US citizen, hung on to the emergency exit door and managed to open it, while a couple of flight attendants held on to him to prevent him from jumping. A passenger with American citizenship opened the rear passenger doors that are not intended for passengers, El Al said in a statement. 2 El Al crew members who noticed the passenger were cool and resourceful when they grabbed the passenger who was hanging from the door and prevented him from jumping from a great height and thus saved his life. According to the Times of Israel, the passenger had to make a jump of 5.2 metres, or 17 feet, which was the distance between the door of a Boeing 747-400 and the concrete floor of the tarmac below. Eventually, the crew members had to use a ladder to bring the passenger safely to the ground. One of the crew members who witnessed the incident said the passenger tried to flee after climbing down the ladder but was restrained by security and detained for questioning. He was arrested by the local police later, and El Al CEO Gonan Ushkin praised the staff for preventing serious incident and loss of human life. Oh dear. I mean, I know you want to get off a plane after a long flight, but at least wait till it's got to the gate and the air bridge is attached.
Well, yeah, there is that. Now, actually, I've got something here for Nev. I'm going to play you. I'm just going to, seeing as it seems to be test the host's night. So obviously, there's a little bit of a video that was attached to this story, and I wonder if you could perhaps tell me what's wrong with the video that they've attached to said. To said story.
Well, it says continue on the window for a start.
Yeah, that would have worked a whole lot better if I'd done it. But just see if you could sort of tell me what's wrong with this particular video.
Oh.
I didn't realise El Al had
short video.
Well, yeah, all right, yes, okay, there is that. Yeah,
that's the first thing.
Yeah, that's the first thing. I mean, actually, to be fair, there's a list, isn't there? Let's be honest. But
the writing on the video has nice font.
It does have a nice font. It's nice and easy to read, which is always a thing. Yeah.
So it's a case in here, guys and girls, of silly Billy. Open the door and get out before you.
And also the point I was making is, for some reason they've attached the Ryanair video from I don't know how long ago.
That was keen to get off of aircraft sometimes. I remember the last time I came back from Edinburgh, we were just taking the high speed exit off of 27 right, I think, and we were down to about 40 knots, and at least 2 people behind me stood up and started to try and get their stuff down from the overhead lock. I'm going, it's not time yet, guys.
That's just ridiculous.
It's quite a long taxi to Terminal 5 anyway, and the cabin crew went absolutely ballistic at these people for standing up, and the plane was still going at quite a lick as well.
Really? Well, I'm glad they sort of, had a right go at them, because that's one of my pet peeves. That really drives me nuts when they do stuff like that. It makes me so.
This is not a problem we have, Mila, with your flying, is it?
No.
No, that's the beauty of cargo, isn't it? Really, you haven't got things to argue with you. That's the way forward. But boxes don't tend to make a lot of noise, do they? Really. Anyway, we're going to move on to the next story. Yeah, this is. I think we've covered sort of a similar version to this story before, but it's true now. So this is on the Edinburgh Evening News, and the headline is "Total Disgrace: Ryanair to scrap Edinburgh to London Stansted flights," which I must admit I'm quite surprised about.
Very
because
surprised. Yeah.
when I've done this particular route a few times. Admittedly, it was a couple of years ago. I can't imagine demand has dropped much, and it was absolutely rammed. So I can only assume that some of this perhaps is not to do with finances, but perhaps a dispute with one or other airport. Her budget airline Ryanair is to scrap daily flights from Edinburgh to London Stansted. It has reported Europe's biggest low-cost carrier is cutting several UK domestic routes, partly thought to be in response to the worldwide grounding of the Boeing 737 MAX. I see. It means flights between Scotland and English capitals will be slashed from 4 a day to 4 a week. One passenger said it's a total disgrace how this company treats customers. The Irish airline had planned to reduce its frequency daily its frequent daily links between Edinburgh and London Stansted from the end of the summer schedules in October. It would mean no flights between the two on Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Ryanair is also cutting back its Stansted Belfast service from 3 a day to just 2 a week. The carrier competes airport to airport with EasyJet on both routes, making profitability potentially more difficult. Industry insiders believe the planned cull was brought forward as a result of the worldwide grounding of the Boeing 737 MAX after the Ethiopian Airlines tragedy back in May. Ethiopian Airlines flight Echo Tango 302 crashed soon after takeoff from Addis Ababa last month, killing 157 people, leading to the grounding of the aircraft. Last October, another Boeing. I won't keep reading this, but we get the gist there. So Ryanair is understood to have ordered 135 of a special variant of the new jet known as the MAX 200, which includes an extra 8 seats. 40 jets are due to arrive over the coming year, with the first originally expected to arrive at Ryanair's main base Stansted in April, ahead of starting flights on the 14th of May. But there is no indication of when aviation authorities will allow the 737 MAX back in the air. Ryanair is faced with either keeping older aircraft in its fleet for longer than expected, chartering in extra capacity, or thinning out its schedules. Domestic services, including Edinburgh to Stansted, may have fallen victim to the latter option, meaning freed up planes that can be used on higher yield services. Thousands of passengers are already booked on the now cancelled flights from Edinburgh to Stansted. Ryanair is offering a transfer to one of the surviving services or a full refund. To be fair, there isn't really a lot more that they can do with that. I mean, I suppose that I don't know. Perhaps we're stuck between a rock and a hard place on this one, Nev, because it's it's obviously a very popular service. As I say, having used it myself, admittedly, it was on a Thursday or a Friday, so these routes are busier sort of towards the start and end of the week. But I guess if you are waiting for new aircraft that you're not allowed to put in the air, perhaps something's got to give somewhere.
Yeah, I think
it's all about the revenue, isn't it?
Yeah.
All about the spreadsheet and making the numbers work. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think EasyJet do this route as well from Stansted. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, they do.
Edinburgh.
Yeah, they do. They were saying. I must admit, I didn't know that. But I don't know. It's
I'm surprised it's not a popular route because.
Unless it is because people are choosing. If you have got other, I dare say, if EasyJet are doing daily flights, then it won't make a great deal of difference to those wanting to do it. And in their defence, they are offering a full refund. I mean, I get that it's an inconvenience for people. Perhaps it's a bit short notice as well, obviously, because you're going to have to play through the nose now for another service. I guess, as you say, they're sort of stuck really. If they can't get their new aeroplane in the air because it's been grounded. I mean, we don't really know at this stage. I don't believe we know how long they are going to remain grounded for.
So moving on to the next story, and Nev, a nostalgic BA story for you this week.
It is. I'm shedding a tear as I'm reading this. It's on the stuff.co.nz website, and it's a really good story, actually. It's the British Airways retro photo shoot. But it took over 2 hours of painstaking parking. But BA has brought together the 4 heritage liveried aircraft for the first time. The airline is marking its centenary this year with a series of events. And to capture the photo at London's Heathrow Airport, the 4 heritage aircraft were lined up alongside an A319 with the current Chatham Dockyard design. Alex Cruz, British Airways Chairman and CEO, said the airline has been delighted with the response to the retro designs. The excitement and pride that we've witnessed from customers and colleagues as these heritage liveries, which we painted to mark our centenary, have flown around the globe has been unparalleled, he said. Social media has been fired up with images from travellers all over the world when they spotted the aircraft, and as some 50,000 people have now flown on them since they arrived back in the fleet, we wanted to capture a special photo to share with them. Bit of a shame, actually, they just couldn't pull Concorde out of the parking area that's there, and they could have put that alongside as well.
I think that would have been a nice touch, actually.
Yes, it would. But there's always Al, I know, and many other people are going, are British Airways really 100 years old? Well, not quite, because on the 25th of August 1919, the forerunner company of BA, which was called Air Transport and Travel Limited, launched the first daily international scheduled air service between London and Paris. In 1924, Britain's four main fledgling airlines, which had by then evolved into Instone, Handley Page, Daimler Airways, and British Air Marine Navigation Company, merged to form Imperial Airways Limited. Then it goes through the end of the First World War, on the start of the Second World War. But then in July 1979, the government announced its intention to sell shares in British Airways, and in February 1987, British Airways was privatised. Of course, the most recent acquisition has been in 2011 by the IAG Group, which formed when British Airways and Iberia merged. And IAG has since also become the parent company of Aer Lingus and Vueling. And in 2017, IAG launched Level, which is a new low-cost airline brand that operates from Barcelona, Paris, and Vienna. So it's got quite a history behind it, and it's great to see all those lovely retro liveried aircraft parked out on the apron there.
Can I pick holes in the pictures, or
Please do.
Yeah, well, obviously we have some incredibly good photographers who listen to the show of Aviation. Jonathan Warner, Dan Hannington, to name but a few. But can you notice, Nev, the slight water issue on the photos?
I see. Yes, you mean actually on the lens.
On the lens, yeah.
Well, there we are. But they did their best. It was a bit of a drizzly day.
Drizzly day. It was a typical British day, actually, to be fair, yeah.
I'm sure there are better photos than that. In fact,
But
I've seen better photos than that.
I think, what do you reckon, Nev? Your Christmas list for this year, to have that particular picture as a back on the backdrop for
That'd
your
be nice,
wall?
wouldn't it? I might have to replace the A380 behind me with this picture, maybe. Maybe I'll Photoshop Concorde into the front or something like that.
That'd be a good idea.
Quite cool, isn't it? But nice picture.
Nice
and
picture.
I've got to say, for me, the Landor livery on that 744, which is on the right-hand side, still takes a bit of beating. And I do like the original one on the A319 as well at the front. That's a nice one.
It's the BOAC one for me, I'm afraid.
BOAC,
Yeah, that's my favourite. That is my favourite.
Yeah, I'm with Nev. I'm the Landor man. But
Yeah.
what do you think, Marley? Any particular favourite out there?
I like the 7.4.
Which one? The Landor, or the BOAC, or the BEA, or the new livery?
The right one.
That one.
That one.
The Landor. Good girl. Well done. So moving swiftly on to the next story, and Mila, this one's for you, and it's good news because this is Matt's favourite aircraft. So carry on.
God.
Yes, it's by simpleflying.com, and the title reads: United Airlines looks to Airbus for Boeing 757 replacement.
Yes! Happy days.
There you go.
Happy days.
United Airlines is looking to Airbus for a replacement option for its aging Boeing 757 and 76 aircraft. As a matter of fact, the carrier is reportedly considering the purchase of Airbus A321 XLRs. So there you go. At present, United Airlines has 76 Boeing 757 aircraft and 54 Boeing 767 aircraft in its fleet. The carrier will replace most of these aircraft with Boeing 787s and Boeing 737 MAXs. And then it goes to sum up how many aircrafts it actually got. According to Flight Global, United Airlines President Scott Kirby told employees during a town hall meeting at the end of last month that the airline will need to purchase 30 to 40 mid-size aircraft to replace some of its 75s and 76s. United Airlines would like to take delivery of the aircraft starting mid-2020. More specifically, Scott Kirby said that the United Airlines feels really good about the bulk of the narrow body, the bulk of the wide body fleet. Alright, that's a very strange sentence. That 30 to 40 airplanes for 7576 replacement, we don't have a good answer for. So, the Airbus A321 XLR. This is exactly where the Airbus A321 XLR comes into play. The aircraft would be a great addition to United Airlines' fleet. It is expected to carry about 250 passengers and have a range of 4,700 nautical miles. It will basically be a long-range version of the Airbus A321 LR. Accordingly, United Airlines could operate the aircraft on routes between the east coast of the United States and Europe. Furthermore, the aircraft will be highly fuel efficient and feature the latest technology. All these are great selling points. So there we go.
And we have actually next week got a guest coming on who's going to tell us a bit more about United's particular aircraft.
They will know exactly what the featured latest technology is.
Oh yes,
and the great selling points.
Yeah, and the great selling points.
Brilliant.
But no, this 321 XLR, it's another one of those aircraft I wouldn't mind having a flight in, but it's trying to find an airline that will utilise this within Europe. Nev, I don't think BA have got any of these or got any on order, have they?
Nothing on order. No. But they've plumped for the A350 1000, as we know.
Oh yes.
So we should be having a go on that in November, all being well. So all good.
Oh, good.
So yes. Just a quick technical announcement.
Yes.
Armando would still very much like a Zoom link to the show.
I'm working on it.
Matt's working on it.
Yes.
So
now we have somebody else involved as well. He's getting very cross that he's not received the link. So and you know what happens when that happens. So
Underwater Chap's in the chat room this week again. Hello, Underwater Chap.
Okay.
Moving swiftly on to the next story. And this one is Matt. That's right, Matt. Just press a button. That'll be fine.
Okay, right.
This one is on the edition.cnn.com website, and a bit worrying, this one. The headline: armed robbers make off with a huge cash haul in Albanian plane heist. So armed robbers have made off with a large sum of cash seized from an Austrian Airlines aircraft just about to take off from an airport in Albania. The masked assailants broke onto the runway of Tirana International Airport, close to the Albanian capital, on Tuesday through a fire services entrance and stole a shipment of money destined for Vienna, Albanian State Police told CNN in a statement. A police chase ensued and one of the gunmen was shot dead, and he was found to have been armed with an assault weapon and grenade and magazine full of bullets, according to a media report at the scene. During the pursuit on a secondary road, the perpetrators exchanged fire with the police, and during this exchange, one of the perpetrators lost his life, the police said. Police arrested 4 of the attackers and questioned 40 others during the incident, and AFP news agency reported. Albania's Deputy Prime Minister Iron Brace praised the police for their actions and wrote on Twitter that the robbers were from one of the most dangerous gangs in the country, he added, and that police eliminated its leader. Sander Ljashaj The Interior Minister, I'll probably pronounce that completely wrong, said in a press conference on Wednesday that Albanian authorities would take strong and immediate legal measures to guarantee the necessary safety parameters and standards at the airport were met. Security of life, property and national security prevail all over other interests, he said. Defence Minister Olta, well, I can't even pronounce that, that's a bit of a one, wrote on Twitter that military police and members of the special forces will guard the perimeter of the airport. Austrian Airlines confirmed the incident affected flight OS 848 destined for Vienna and took place shortly after passengers had boarded the aircraft. Witnesses reported that the assailants, dressed in military uniforms, approached the airport staff working by the aircraft when the engines were already running and ordered them to the ground. They then took the cargo of cash it had been loaded into the hold. An Austrian Airlines spokeswoman, Tanja Gruber, told CNN that the airline was glad that neither passengers nor crew were hurt during the incident. Safety is our top priority, they said at Austrian Airlines, and as a first measure we decided to stop the transport of valuable cargo to and from Tirana Airport, she said. We are currently gathering and joining forces in order to develop further measures. Tirana Airport has increase its security measures immediately. Gruber said to CNN that the exact value of the goods stolen couldn't yet be confirmed, but initial reports from local media suggest that at least €2.5 million was taken. Well, it's safe to say that we've all heard of the Great Train Robbery here in the UK, but the Great Plane Robbery? I don't know. I mean, I'm quite shocked that they actually managed to obviously get past security and managed to get to the aircraft. But Nev, a slight lack in security here, do you think?
Well, yes, this is often the case, isn't it? And I think that there'll be lessons learned from this one, I can tell you. No question about it.
Imagine having that on CCTV. That'd be one to see. Yeah. So moving on to the next story, and Matt, this one is obviously one on a website that has a very nice font that's loved by Mr. Bounds.
Okay, right.
And I'll continue the segue a bit longer.
Mind. Yeah, sorry. Hang on, no, I think we're there. Is it CNN? Is that
That's
the
one? No, it's Flight Global. This one.
It's Flight Global.
It's the one with the nice font.
It's the one with the nice font. Okay,
yeah.
I'm just going to style it out. There we go. It says there's a picture on it as well. Why would you give me a story with a picture on it?
Just to make things harder.
Thanks very much. Uganda Airlines, is that the one?
Yes, the one.
Yes, excellent. Okay, so apologies for that. Sorry, I'm doing about 4 things at once. It's not going very well. I don't understand the chat. Nev, sort them out, please. It's very distracting. So, flightglobal.com is the website. Headline is Uganda Airlines has confirmed its tentative order for a pair of Airbus A330s. That's your favourite airline, right? Your favourite aircraft, what? A330.
Oh yes, fantastic.
This is what we were talking about earlier, wasn't it?
Yes, brilliant.
Okay, yeah. A330-800 becoming the second airline to hold orders for the smaller A330 Neo variant. So the airline had disclosed its professional commitment to the twin jet during the Farnborough Air Show last year. Airbus says the carrier has converted the agreement to a firm order for the Rolls-Royce Trent 7,000 powered aircraft, but has given little additional information about the deal. It says the airline will use the type to build its medium and long haul network. The carrier previously indicated it would continue the Dash 800s with 20 business class, 28 premium economy and 213 economy class seats. Kuwait Airways is the only other customer for the A330-800 with an order for 8. The Dash 800 is still undergoing certification testing, and I dare say after the recent incident involving Boeing, I dare say they're being very thorough about that certification for its airworthiness. So it's so what is it that you don't like about the A330 then?
I just the 2 or 3 times that I've flown on the 330, I've just found it to be really noisy and uncomfortable. But I know it's not just down to the aircraft; it's down to the interiors. But for me, it was. It was just a bit noisy. I think I've spoke to a few people since that, and they've agreed with me that it is a bit of a noisy aircraft.
Nev, have you been on the 330 much?
A little bit, yes. I went on a TAP Air Portugal from Lisbon to Salvador in Brazil last year, and I've been on an Emirates A330. I just found the seats a little bit on the thin side for my liking, but then I'm a bit of a chubby chap.
I see your chubbiness and raise you, Nev.
Moving
Indeed.
on
Yeah,
to the
well,
next story.
I think it looks great. I mean, as I say, I'm going to pop the
picture
image up
of
now
Ugandan
because
Airways,
obviously
It's one of those airlines that doesn't make the news every week.
No, I'll
say.
give you that. Which I don't know. Maybe in aviation at the moment, maybe not making the headlines is a good thing these days.
I'll tell you what I do like though, which Airbus have done, and Nev, you'll have probably spotted this as well. That on the 330 they've done that kind of wraparound with the flight deck window black to make it very similar to the 350.
Oh, okay.
It looks.
Yeah, very cool.
The
isn't it?
Zorro
Yes,
mask, as I like to call
The
it.
Zorro mask,
Yeah.
honestly.
Or
Yeah.
the welder's glasses. As well.
Yes.
The welder, yeah. Spotter welding anyone. Yeah.
So Nev, moving on to the next story. This, obviously, with what's going on in the aviation industry at the minute with Boeing, this is a bit of a sort of a move away from the
Well,
737.
Yeah, but I have to say that I think this story is a little bit unfair, really. But it's on the interestingengineering.com website, and it's talking about the Boeing 777X's folding wings, and it asks, are they safe? It says, in the wake of two recent crashes seemingly caused by Boeing's design decisions for the 737 MAX 8 and MAX 9 airplanes, is it any wonder that people are concerned about Boeing's new models, the 777-8 and 777-9, that feature folding wingtips? The new planes are scheduled for delivery in 2020, and like their big sister, the 777-300ER, the 777-8 and -9 are twin-engined, wide-body planes with carbon fibre wings. The 777-8 will seat up to 395 people, and the 777-9 up to 425 people, making it the world's biggest twin-engine jetliner. The new plane's range will be over 14,000 kilometres, and the -8 will sell for $360 million, and the -9 for $388 million. Boeing has logged 326 orders from 8 customers: Lufthansa, Etihad, Cathay Pacific, Emirates, Qatar, ANA, Singapore Airlines, and an identified customer. Boeing expects to deliver the first 777-9 to Emirates in mid-2020. Well, the reason for the folding wingtips is that the wingspan of the new aircraft at 235 feet is too long to fit at the gates of most airports. Once folded, the wings will only be 212 feet in length. The purpose of the longer wing is to reduce drag caused by vortices or wake turbulence that form from an aircraft's wingtips. The less drag, the greater the fuel efficiency, and the more cheaply the aircraft can be operated. And according to Boeing, the wings will only fold when the aircraft is on the ground, and jet fuel will not be stored within the folding sections. Normally, the fuel is stored within the wings of an aircraft. For years, military planes on aircraft carriers have had folding wings, so they take up less space. To get approval for the folding wing from the US FAA, Boeing submitted a special conditions request, and the final decision by the FAA was made public on May the 18th. In the Federal Register, a daily journal of the US government. Now, I think it's completely ridiculous to compare this to the 737 MAX issues going on. So it would be interesting to see what happens here. But this is a completely different aircraft, completely different design, and I think all will be well, I would imagine.
Indeed, absolutely. It's I don't know. I mean, there's several reasons, I suppose, why people would be nervous about stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, but as you say, I mean, it's saying quite clearly that, this isn't the first time that there's been folding wings, is there?
On aircraft, no, it's
on
been
aircraft
they've used
and stuff.
folding wings on aircraft. Cool, blimey. World War II aircraft that were based on aircraft carriers. You know, the fighter aircraft had folding wings.
I was getting so excited about it on that article, because it's no different from retractable flaps and retractable and extendable landing gear, is it really?
No,
mechanical
I suppose
things.
not. I guess one just gets. I guess one would just be a little bit nervous about the fact that. I suppose that there must be procedures in place for making sure things lock and stuff like that. I mean, I guess it must be a genuine thing. I I don't know, Nev. I don't know if you've sort of seen. We do seem to have something coming in on our other machine at the moment. It is on mute, I notice. I don't know what. There's an earpiece going in.
There's an earpiece going in.
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work because I haven't been. Normally, I test this to the nth degree. There's a pint that's just.
I think there's a Captain Jeff to the left.
There might well be. So
Yeah.
let's see. Hello, is anyone there?
Hi guys.
Hey,
Hello.
Armando.
Good to see you.
So I'm here. Oh yeah. Oh boy. So I'm here with
Oh,
Jeff,
man.
and I'm here also with John Jester.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh my
How are you
goodness.
guys doing?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
We're doing all right. Yeah, absolutely. So, how goes the
The celebration.
So yes. So what? This is your official retirement bash, yeah?
This is So typical Armando Air Force fashion. Here's the background. Two furry bats.
Oh, hello.
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
that looks nice.
Okay.
Is
we already put a dent.
is Captain
we already
is Captain
put a
Jeff
dent-
drinking orange juice?
Oh no! Oh yeah. Maybe it's orange flavored. Orange flavored ale.
Oh.
We already put a dent in the first beer vat, and then we're gonna get started on the second.
Good job.
Yeah, well
I'm
done.
very impressed. Absolutely. Where's your little microphone, Armando? Perhaps you could sort of hold it a bit closer to.
All right.
Yeah. If
How's
that.
that?
Yeah, that's much better. Thank
Is
you.
that better?
Yes. Yeah.
Armando, I think it's been noticed in the chat room. You're missing something this week.
My bride?
No. Well, yes,
that
yes,
too.
that too.
Yes.
You're missing something
Oh.
in the face area.
Yeah, I did have to shave. That was a terrible moment. This is gonna make riveting audio, by the way.
Yeah.
On
No.
the audio version.
Yeah, that's all right.
He has a beautiful face.
Hey, I will pass it off to Captain Jeff here, who's
Oh.
No. I don't want to be. No. It's his retirement.
nobody wanted to see me.
Captain Jeff is on his 14th beer.
He's having a lovely time.
Only the second beer. Thank you.
Yeah.
So come on, Armando. What have you been up to? So how does the retirement how does it plan out this sort of thing? What have you been up to today?
Oh, well, it's somewhere between church, a wedding, and a funeral. So there's some sitting, there's some standing, there's some in memoriam.
Crying.
There's some crying.
Oh,
So
did you get all emotional?
I managed to make it all the way through the entire ceremony without getting emotional. So.
Very good, very good. Yes, this is what a real man is like. You see, never mind wetty pants over here who's crying at the, who cries at films and things like that. I mean, it's just like, yeah, this is it.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks,
gonna
Jeff.
say-
I'm very relieved to hear that. So, I mean, how do you feel, mate? Because this must be really weird. I mean, this has been such a huge part of your life to actually sort of for it to come to the end.
Yeah, so it's kind of neat because this today is a meeting and a gathering of this is your life. This is everybody. So if we pan the camera over to John, right? We'll give the earpiece over so he can hear. So John, who's been in our chat room, if you guys remember,
Yeah.
was my first instructor in the Civil Air Patrol
Oh wow.
when I was 14 years old.
Oh
So,
my goodness.
so what do it's just an amazing gathering of people from all walks of life, and John is my past, and Captain Jeff is my future. As
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic.
What was he a good student?
Yeah, he was awesome. He was probably one of my most fun cadets ever to have in Civil Air Patrol.
Yay.
Constantly kept me laughing and challenged me to keep him in line and get his butt in gear and do what he was going to do. So I'm very proud to The one story I tell about him is he's the only cadet in Civil Air Patrol I ever F-bombed because I was so mad at him when he told me he was enlisting in the Air Force. And I am ecstatic that I was so wrong in my judgment of that decision. And so proud to be here now at his retirement from the Air Force.
Yeah. This is just it's
Awesome.
it's amazing.
That's so nice.
Well, there's a lot of love going on for you in the chat room here, Armando. They're all very jealous that they're not there. It's
Neil Landwarn's a bit upset in the chat room. Neil said that he hasn't had a beer since Monday, and you're showing him a whole brewery.
Yeah.
I was going to say that's what everybody's upset about in the chat room is that they're not at the brewery.
Yeah, it's very good beer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Hi, Mila.
Hi. Good to see you.
So good to
see you too.
What's the rest of the evening got in store then, Armando? What happens next? It's just beer time, is it?
I think this is it. Yeah. Now we just start telling all kinds of war stories, and all of them only have to be 60% true.
Yeah. Wow.
So everything gets embellished a little bit. And
I was going to say, the stories get better and the beer gets better. Yeah. Right?
That's it. We have plenty of beer. We have 4 more vats of beer to go, and we have a taco truck out front.
Oh, wow.
Taco
Now
truck.
we're talking. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely a good thing, too.
Definitely. Oh, dearie me.
I was going to say, are you going to go and get some flying in tomorrow, Armando? But that's probably not going to happen.
Not, no.
Probably not, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And not just because of the weather either.
No, indeed. For a change, yeah, absolutely. Captain Jeff has got a question for you in the chat room, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Hang on one second. You're going to pass the earpiece.
Yeah, Captain Jeff says... yeah.
Well, that's true, yeah.
What? Yeah, Captain Jeff, do you want me to ask you your question, or are you going to ask him yourself? Or?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay,
right.
Captain Anonymous Jeff is asking Armando all about the top secret
stuff that he's done. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny because that came as a surprise to my family too. When they're reading your bio and everything you've done in the military, and they're like, "What? You did what?"
Yeah, yeah, I bet.
I don't know.
You should see some of the airplanes he has on his bio. It's amazing.
No, I don't doubt
I've been
that.
lucky. Yeah, I've been lucky to fly a bunch of very quirky airplanes in the Air Force, and yeah, it's just been a really good time. But okay, that's a chapter that we close now and move on to the next one.
Yeah, well, you realise you're going to be asked questions about that, though, as soon as you return. You realise that, don't you? There's going to be... We have many questions we need to ask.
Well, as I said, all of that only has to be 60% true also. So.
Take everything with a grain of salt.
Right, okay. No, that's fair enough. Well, look, guys, we're not going to hold you up any longer. Have several very large beers for us, I think. Again, congratulations, mate. It's a real honour to sort of have you part of the family, and I'm so pleased that you're having the send-off that you so richly deserve. So thank you so very much, mate. Have a great time, and we look forward to hearing some of the family-friendly versions of the stories. Another part. Anything you want to say, Nev, before we cut him loose?
No, just make sure that you have some paracetamol with you, Armando, because you're going to need it, I think. And, when you've got Jeff as a drinking buddy, there's always trouble. There's always trouble.
There is always trouble. Well, as I say, there's a lot of love. There's a lot of love for you in the chat room here. As I say, Owen's saying congratulations. VC10 Ron, he's saying congratulations. Tony S, congratulations. Enjoy your evening. As I say, there's just a massive list of people. Neil Lamb, everyone, all wishing you a good time. Why waste time with a barrel or a bottle? After all, go straight to the source, says Richard Adams. I think that's a brilliant idea. Yeah, Richard Adams, as he's now been renamed.
I think I've been to his establishment, Richard Adams.
Fair point. And as I say, Pilot Pip is missing the gangster goatee, as you would expect.
Yes.
Hello, who was that? Hello, hang on.
So we just ordered another round.
It's my special friend.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Oh dear. Right, well, we better let you. Oh, yes. As underwater person says, have a beer on me. Enjoy the new chapter of your life. So there we go.
Yes.
I think that's a great way to end. Nice one, mate. Enjoy that. Much love to Captain Jeff as well. Thanks for popping in. And
Bye, Jeff.
We'll catch up with you very
I
soon.
just I didn't want to let you know that Armando is going to be joining the APG crew.
Oh.
I should not. I shouldn't have said that.
But it's okay. You guys have already pillaged Nick and Steph, so.
I know.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks to everybody in the chat room, and we'll talk to you later.
Yeah, take care, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh, dear.
He looks about 10 years younger now.
He does, doesn't he? It's amazing.
Yes.
It's amazing what the removal of some facial fuzz will do, isn't
And
it?
such a big smile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Bless
Oh, well, that was lovely to just hear from. I've no idea where we are in the running order of things, by the way. I hope you've got a rough idea.
It was my turn, but
It
then what
was,
story
yeah.
am I going to read?
Okay.
Something nice.
It's another 321LR story.
Is it?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
Yes. Then I shall click it.
We're doing really well, but this is so slick this week.
Absolutely. It's going to be
not that
brilliant. Is it not that?
No, not that
I
one.
asked you if it was that one. You said
Alright.
yes.
You tell him,
Honestly,
Myla.
it was that one.
Ladies and gentlemen, we may
This
have
one.
slightly
That's the one.
lost control of where we don't know
Then I
where
shall
we
click
are.
this It is on simpleflying.com
Yep.
again. And it's JetBlue announces London flights using Airbus A321LR aircraft. We have all heard the rumors that JetBlue is planning on starting service to Europe. Well, today the airline announced that it will start service to London using Airbus A321LR aircraft in 2021. And that was released on April 10th. So there you go. What are the details? Simple Flying reported last month that JetBlue had invited crew members to an all-hands meeting on April 10th. The background of the meeting invitation featured two famous London landmarks, the London Eye and the Shard. Awesome. The meeting was held at New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport for all local staff members. Employees from many of the airline's other main bases were able to join viewing parties to follow the meeting. During the meeting today, JetBlue announced that it will offer daily services from New York, JFK, and Boston, BOS, to London starting in 2021. The airline will operate the transatlantic flights on Airbus A321LR aircraft. The aircraft will feature an improved and expanded JetBlue Mint. The airline's Mint class was rated Best Regional Business Class in North America by TripAdvisor in 2019. JetBlue is planning on charging lower fares than the legacy airlines on the transatlantic flights. At the same time, the airline will offer premium service in the Mint class. All in all, passengers can expect comfort and convenience at a low price. According to JetBlue, London is the largest market not served by the airline from the northeast. Apparently, this will change in the not-too-distant future. The airline served a pretty cool cake to celebrate the occasion. Can we have a picture, please?
Oh, sorry.
Matt will be on that straight away.
It is a pretty cool
It is an awesome cake.
cake.
Okay, it won't let me show it. Hang on, it's a Twitter image. Just give me a. Oh no, it's an Instagram image, so I have to do some fiddling stuff.
Oh, carry on.
Some fiddling.
Yes, there we go. That's a
As
very
you
cool
can
cake. It is
see-
actually a suitcase.
Yes.
That's how cool is
The
that?
suit cake.
With a JetBlue luggage tag and stickers featuring the US flag, the British flag, the logo of London Underground, and the Eiffel Tower. As you do.
As you do, yeah.
There you go.
I love
That's
that.
an
Like the
awesome
pictures
cake.
of Paris and all sorts on there. So this is quite big news then, Nev, isn't it? Because this is the first time that they've sort of ventured
Across the
this
pond.
far. Yeah. So what?
Nev, would you want to do a transatlantic flight on a 321?
Well, I think I'm going to have to give it a go because I've never been any really long distances, more than about 4 hours on a single aisle aircraft. But it's quite a long slog, as Matt will know from his
Yes.
757.
Yes. Yes. And we all know how that went.
Maybe things have improved. And what we don't know yet, we don't know what airport they're actually going to fly into, whether
Yeah,
it's
true.
Gatwick or Stansted or Heathrow at the moment. Or it'll be London, Manchester, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. But I think I'd like to give it a try, just to say that I've done that trip. But I'm not. I've got to say, I'm not mad keen on it. I've got to say.
I suppose you could do it, Nev, and then it could at least be chalked up as I've done that. I'm never going to do that again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just
I just want to know how much they're going to charge. Obviously, it's not going to be until 2021, but it'll be interesting to see because obviously WoW done this similar kind of thing with single aisle. But what's happened to WoW?
I think the only thing I would say, perhaps in JetBlue's favour, is they are very experienced in in this market. So if they think they can do it, then they probably stand a good chance of doing it, don't they? Because they are much more established than, because I mean WoW was quite a new airline, wasn't it? And that was
relatively.
It sort of decided it was going to go down this route, and perhaps they didn't have the capital or whatever bit to sort of make a huge success of it. That having been said, of course, at this stage we don't know the costs.
Yeah.
How
much? I mean, they're obviously going to be cheaper than the big carriers like BA and American, all the big carriers that go across to the US.
Well, I'm sure he won't mind me saying, but my best friend, he was booked with Norwegian to go. Not Norwegian. What was the one that went? Premier.
Oh, Primera.
Yeah, Primera. He was actually booked with them to go to New York at the weekend where it all collapsed. So it was, I think it collapsed the week before or whatever. So he had hell and all job trying to get another flight to go out there. So I mean, it has to be said, there isn't a great model for the transatlantic low-cost route, but perhaps a big company like JetBlue, who are very established in the American market, perhaps this is, if anyone perhaps can pull off something like this, maybe it is them.
The thing to remember is that on the more, the legacy airlines, of course, the only part of the cabin where they make any money is the business class section or the first class section, and it does say that that the aircraft's going to feature improved, expanded JetBlue Mint, which is their business class section. So they've got to get people in that bit, and I think it depends how they get on in the economy class section, because if the fares are very inexpensive, they've got to fill every single seat to make this work, haven't they? But it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. See what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting time, certainly.
We'll get a price. Perhaps they might release them soon.
Yeah, absolutely. When did you say 2021?
2021.
Yeah. It's a while away, isn't it?
It's about just over 20 minutes, actually.
Boom.
I see what you did there, Nev. I see what you did. Yeah.
So moving on swiftly, before the one-liners come from Nev.
It's too late. It's already too late.
For then you following on Facebook. Anyway, the next story on aerotime.aero, and that's Aerotime News. And the headline, German government buys 3 new Airbus A350s for 1.2 billion euros.
Is that cheap?
I don't know, really. We'll see what the list price is.
Right.
The Budget Committee of the German Bundestag approved the acquisition of 3 new Airbus A350s on April 11th, 2019, to renew the governmental fleet. They'll be delivered by 2023. The total cost is estimated to be around 1.2 billion euros, making it one of the most expensive governmental fleet on the planet. The 3 A350-900 should be acquired from Airbus for 640 million euros. Refurbishing the cabin to a VIP standard should cost another 288 million euros, while specific defence systems will add another 229 million euros to the bill. The latter should include integration of a large aircraft infrared countermeasure system to protect the aircraft from incoming missiles. The order will be placed by April the 15th, 2019, according to the Ministry of Defence. The transition from 2 to 3 aircraft should increase the readiness of the fleet, and due to maintenance work, the government often had to rely on only one of the 2 A340s. Moreover, the ministry argues that the aircraft type, the A350, are only produced since 2015, which provides a long availability of spare parts. Discussions to acquire new aircraft for the German government attracted the spotlight in November 2018, when Chancellor Angela Merkel was forced to give up on attending the opening of the G20 summit in Buenos Aires and the official aircraft that was supposed to take her to Argentina, the A340 VIP, was forced to make emergency landing in Cologne after electronic distribution box caused several systems, including communications, to shut down. The Chancellor eventually took a commercial flight from Madrid to Argentina. More recently, on March the 1st, 2019, the head of German diplomacy, Heiko Maas, was stuck in Mali due to failure of an Airbus A319, also part of the governmental fleet. The two Luftwaffe A340s that currently compose the backbone of the German governmental fleet were acquired second-hand in 2011 from Lufthansa and refitted to governmental standards, including secured communication systems and anti-missile systems, for a total of €740 million. The German Minister of Defence announced his decision to replace them with the new governmental aircraft in February this year. As the aircraft will not be used solely for the German Armed Forces in the Federal Ministry of Defence, but will be available for transport of all governmental members. The purchase will be financed using the federal budget. Of course, a transition of governmental members on important dates should be not at the expense of the Air Force, which needs its budget for helicopters, aircraft in operation, said Defence Minister Ursula von der Leyen when the procurement was announced. So it's good news for Airbus because they're obviously selling 3 more of these A350s, but it's also good news for the company that does the refitting inside, because that's quite a bill to pay to have these aircraft done up inside.
I was going to say I would like an airplane like that on my important dates.
Yes, absolutely. It's I'm surprised Nev hasn't got his own sort of Air Force One. Frankly,
what makes you think he has?
Well, it's just that you've been to my house. The road outside isn't long enough to get airborne, unfortunately.
See what you did there. Yes, so I was busy looking at this. Bearing in mind this is in dollars, the cost of this, so it's a little bit confusing. I'm having to do a rough conversion, but a unit cost of an A350-900, which is what we're talking about in this particular article, works out at 317.4 million, it's.
Neil Lamworn has said in the chat room that if he was the Chancellor, he'd get them to fly him around in the back seat of a Typhoon.
Right, okay. I mean, I must admit, it doesn't strike me as the... I can only assume maybe they have listed it as this is the list price, because 1.2 million euros is a very rough... Billion, sorry. Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's roughly $1.36 billion. So it doesn't seem like there's much of a saving on the list price to them, to be honest. Whether it's because
perhaps they brought 2 and got 1 free.
Bog off. Yeah, they got a bog off. It doesn't seem the best. Doesn't seem the best deal. Perhaps I'm looking at the numbers wrong because it's not my area of expertise.
Actually,
doing
Nev,
conversions.
what is our governmental fleet made up by? Have we still got those ageing 146s carrying our rolls?
The 146 of the Queen's flight, based at RAF Northolt, and they're getting on a bit, I have to say, and they can be used by government ministers and people that are authorised to do so. But of course, the Prime Minister travels on the A330 Voyager, usually out of RAF Prize Norton, when she's going on her long international trips. She does actually have May Force One now.
May Force One.
I see what you did there.
I like that.
That's today's phrase for me. Obviously, I keep saying that.
Do you remember Tony Blair back in the day? He was trying to get his own aircraft because he was doing so much flying, and neither the government nor the House of Commons nor the Foreign Commonwealth Office would actually sanction it. So he never ended up with anything at all. They have actually now. They do use the Voyager fleet for the longer haul stuff.
Wow.
Actually, I heard that the in-flight movie that they're showing on Theresa May's aircraft is...
brace yourselves, everyone.
Here we go.
Is the 3 Brexiteers.
Right, okay, I see what you... Yes. Yeah, it's not bad. We've gone an hour and 5 minutes without anyone mentioning that word, to be fair. So I just
had to drop it in there.
It's not bad going. It's not bad going. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the next story, Matt, and this one for you is
it really my go
It
again?
is to you, yeah. This one is on the ttgmedia.com website, and we've had good news for Airbus, so we thought we'd better have some bad news for them.
Oh, okay. So this is on the TTG website, whatever that is. I don't know, it looks like some kind of magazine. I do worry where you get these stories from sometimes, Carlos. Norwegian confirms partial postponement of Airbus order. Norwegian has partially postponed its order for dozens of new Airbus aircraft, a move the airline says will save approximately $570 million over the next 2 years. The low-cost carrier confirmed on Wednesday, on the 10th of April, its Irish leasing division, Arctic Aviation Assets, had reached an agreement with Airbus to reschedule part of its order book, which includes new A320neo and long-range A321 aircraft. The move comes as part of Norwegian's ongoing efforts to shift its strategic focus from growth to profitability, announced in January. Airbus had more than 60 outstanding A320neo orders from Norwegian at the end of March, and about 30 for the A321s. The postponement is expected to reduce the company's capital expenditure commitments by approximately $570 million in total for 2019 and 2020, said Norwegian in a statement. The postponements are in line with the company's strategy of capitalising on the scale built up over the past few years and the changed focus from growth to profitability. So I must admit, I kind of assumed that most airlines, their focus was on actually turning a profit each financial year. This is a bit of a surprise that they're not. But then I don't know. Perhaps you have to sort of speculate to accumulate in the early days to sort of get yourself out there. Perhaps. What do you reckon, Nev?
Yes, I think so. But it's all about profitability, isn't it? I mean, people might take a bit of a punt on it in the early days, but they've got to turn a profit sometime, haven't they?
Yeah, I guess so. Otherwise,
I was just going to say the margins, the difference between profit and loss on these sectors is very slim indeed, isn't it?
Not a lot in it, is there? Certainly. they're long old routes, as I say, and because Norwegian do sort of flirt a little bit with the transatlantic, don't they? So,
but it's only a partial postponement, though, so they haven't completely.
Right, I don't really know what that means.
Partial postponement.
Right, yeah, but you're either going ahead with it or you're not going ahead with it. So it's, I don't know. It's not the news perhaps that Airbus, as I say, it's sort of you give with one hand, take away with the other. I guess it's I think they'll be all right. I think they'll manage. Yeah.
So moving on to the next story, and Nev, this one I think is a good story for anyone who wants to make a large aircraft purchase.
Yes, it is. It's on the dside.com website, and it says that Airbus has said that the future of its existing Beluga transporter fleet is now under consideration following the order for a sixth Beluga XL, the plane maker's next generation airlifter. Production of the Beluga XL aircraft continues to advance as planned, the plane maker said, and Airbus has decided to future-proof the company's internal transportation network by adding another Beluga XL to the overall fleet, as reported by the website last month. The expansion from the originally targeted number of 5 airlifters to a new total of 6 will ensure that the capacity provided by the Beluga XL's highly modified A330 jetliners, tailored to carry large airframe components within the Airbus production network, can accommodate a range of potential future scenarios. Bertrand George, who's the head of Beluga XL program for Airbus, said years from now we could see situations such as further rate increases for our jetliners, or may encounter one of the airlifters being grounded, which would make this extra 6 aircraft an essential part of our transport network. The number 1 Beluga XL performed its maiden takeoff in July 2018 and is now being used in compatibility and verification tests at location across Airbus's European international network, to include initial trip during February, carrying a set of A350 XWB wings from Bremen in Germany to Toulouse in France. This month, the second transport was painted at the Toulouse facility, and the Beluga XL will officially enter service later this year. And by 2023, the 6 aircraft will be fully operational, replacing Airbus's existing fleet of A300-600 ST super transporters, also known as the Beluga STs. This, however, does not suggest that the 5 Beluga STs end, and their future is currently under consideration, Airbus had said. And with the Beluga XL soon to be operational, the proven Beluga STs are far from being written off. So they're going to keep those going as well, because it certainly looks like they've got the production well ramped up for the utilisation of these aircraft, which is good to hear, isn't it? Brilliant news.
These aircraft have done really well for Airbus in regards to transport of parts and stuff. I'm surprised that they haven't produced more of these and kind of sold them, Nev, to other companies to use as airlifters.
They make great cargo planes.
I wonder why.
Yeah, obviously the shape of them is obviously very specific to Airbus's requirements. But it's funny, isn't it? But both Boeing and Airbus tend to make their own aircraft for transporting their own parts around. It'd be interesting to see whether they could make these aircraft available to third-party operators as well.
I bet there'd be interest.
I think there's some money to be had there.
Yeah,
if you're listening, Airbus, we had the idea first.
Right.
Email us at the show.
Okay, podcast at planetalkinguk.com. That's
we're
podcast.
Quite happy with a kind of 60-40 split.
Right.
60?
Yeah.
40?
See what you did there. Stop it. Honestly, I keep doing that. The next time I say that, somebody scream at me or throw sharp objects at me or something.
Honestly.
Yeah.
So the last story on this week's show, it's a bit of a, what can I say? It's one for you, Mila. This story.
All right, I can do that.
And it's a kind of the last story of the show on the commercial segment. And finally,
And
I saw this one earlier this week in the news feeds and saw the video. They actually interviewed the woman in this story, and it was quite interesting actually. So carry on, Mila.
All right, here we go. Sky News, or news.sky.com, has a story on American Airlines flight attendant spills drinks on company CEO. A spokesperson for the airline tells Sky News it was a light-hearted incident that we can all have a giggle about. So there you go. Spilling a drink on a passenger may be every flight attendant's worst nightmare, but when it involves the airline CEO, it can be mortifying. That's exactly what happened to American Airlines flight attendant Maddie Peters, name and everything, on a flight from Phoenix to Dallas. Miss Peters soon expressed her horror in an Instagram post. I had our CEO, Doug Parker, on my flight, she wrote. I was serving drinks during boarding to the first class cabin. I had a full tray with drinks on it when the passenger in front of me stops in the aisle and backs up. He bumps into the tray and the drinks go flying. I could make a very bad joke right now, but she continued, guess who they land on? Half of them went all over me, the other half in Doug's lap. I was mortified. I wanted to drop dead right there in the aisle. Like, am I still employed? But still slightly traumatized, embarrassed. But Miss Peter said Mr. Parker was a good sport about it. He later came back and we chatted for a little, and he joked about it the rest of the flight, she wrote. And then there's a picture.
It's a nice picture, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw this. This story was earlier this week. I saw this, and like I said, they spoke to her, and she was genuinely really worried that she'd lost her job.
I think you could understand that. You just think, well, that's it. I'm sacked. That's the end of it. Yeah. This is the end of my lovely career. It's time to pack up.
I mean, she did say that the tray contained mostly sparkling water and water-related drinks. So,
it wasn't red wine. Then
wasn't red wine.
No, it could be worse. Yeah,
but sticky.
But no, she did say in the interview that apparently he was really just totally laid back about the whole thing.
Right.
And said,
okay. I mean,
yeah,
it's
don't
easily
worry.
done, I suppose. Nev, have you ever had an incident where somebody's... I mean, I'm sure you've been in many situations where somebody's thrown a drink over your head, perhaps, but in flight? I mean, some of your jokes deserve at least something cold and sparkly thrown in your face.
They do, but it's strange actually, isn't it? On some flights that are completely, I mean, this happens to the cabin crew a lot, I'm sure, on a lot of aircraft, where the flight has been completely smooth. It's just leveled off. Everything's great. The trolley comes out with the drinks on it, and just as the cabin crew start to serve the coffee, then we get some turbulence. But I have had some hot coffee in my lap.
Oh my goodness!
Previously, so, which is why I've only had 2 children.
Right. Okay. There we are. It's good to know. Wow.
Well, even if it was red wine, is it there's supposed to be the thing where you can pour white wine
No,
on red wine?
that's a myth.
No.
That's a
Okay.
load of nonsense.
All right, I just heard
A
it
good
somewhere.
stain. Well, they were wrong. A good stain remover. That's what you need. If you've had an incident like that, then it
really doesn't work.
It really doesn't work. It is nothing more than a waste of good white wine.
I'm gutted now because I thought that was a really
No,
good.
it's not. No, I don't know where you got that from, but it's a load of rubbish.
Okay.
Andy Furlong's actually saying in the chat room here that my brother had hot coffee thrown
Ouch.
in his lap. VC10 Ron is chatting about martini. I don't know whether
Shaken,
whether
not
he
stirred.
wants one or but it's
Andy Furlong said, "I blame her glasses."
Oh, how rude!
How rude! Honestly.
No,
And actually, Richard Adams makes a very good point. Sounds like a Betty story.
It does, doesn't
Yes.
it? Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
She released a story this week, actually. Didn't she released an episode this week, didn't she?
I'm 2 weeks behind with
Are you?
Betty in the
Mm.
Sky with the Suitcase, but yeah,
Yeah.
I need to catch up.
And Tony S is saying she should have blamed the itchy uniform.
Oh yeah, because they had the itchy uniform
They
thing a while
did,
back, didn't they?
yeah.
Did they?
Yeah, do you remember the cabin attendants were getting really annoyed by the fact they were having to wear an
Oh, were
itchy
they?
uniform?
Yes.
Oh, there we are. It's
Ooh.
okay. Well, perhaps that's what it was. She was having a jolly good scratch and then accidentally threw it all over the CEO of the company. I mean,
know.
it's good. He obviously had a bit of a sense of humour about it all. I mean, these things can happen all
Yeah.
the time. But I mean, can you imagine? I mean, I may be speaking terribly out of turn here, but could you imagine if somebody threw that through, say, on said flight after he just backed and won the Grand National? Can you imagine if somebody did that to O'Leary on the flight home?
Oh, blimey! Did you? I did see him on TV.
But then
actually.
O'Leary doesn't smile like that.
No,
CEO,
God, no.
So there you go.
Well, he was doing a lot of smiling at the Grand National, I can tell you
Yeah,
that
he
much.
was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mind you, so was I after the Grand National. Whoop,
Oh,
whoop.
did you back him?
Huh?
Did you back him?
Oh yes.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Oh, look at it. Oh,
Yes, I had a very good day.
Did you have a flutter on? Did you have a flutter on the National, Nev?
I had a very good flutter. Did Nev?
No, the only time I've put some money on a horse was about 6 months ago when one of my work colleagues phoned me up and said, "Oh, Nev, there's a horse called Bouncy."
Oh, okay.
Ah.
Yeah.
See.
And I did, and I put on, I forget what it was, about £15, and I got £83 back.
Oh,
Brilliant.
Oh, very good.
So,
Ice
yeah, I was
cream.
very pleased about it.
Yes. Are we allowed to ask how well you did on the National then, Carlos?
Oh,
No, no,
sorry.
I don't think so.
I
I mean, I know you weren't running. I meant more, like you
Well,
weren't in the field.
Well, I bet on 3 horses. Obviously, the first one I bet on came in first, and I got a third as well. But I doubled the money.
Did you? Oh, well, that's all right. Well done. Actually, Neil Lamborn is saying in the chat room here, he's actually saying that I doubt O'Leary takes his own planes either. Actually, he does. When he came back from... only because I was reading the article, when he actually came back, because he won, he actually opened the bar for everyone who was on his flight going back to
Hey,
Dublin.
he said that when
He
he was
did.
interviewed at the
That's
Grand
right.
National.
Yeah, and it was he did open the bar for everyone.
Really?
Free. Well, I mean, it's a 45-minute flight, so I don't know quite how. And I dare say he made sure it was quite understocked when before it took off.
Right.
But he did nevertheless open a free bar, for it. Whether he uses his own airline all the time or not, I don't know. But certainly
doubt
coming back
it.
from the National, and it was out of Stansted that he
That's good.
that he went. Oh, I think it was Stansted anyway. Anyway, wherever it was, he definitely flew. Where is the National? It's Ascot, isn't it? Is it Ascot?
Aintree.
Aintree.
Yeah, okay. So, where this is I'm going to sound like a right moron here. Whereabouts is Aintree?
Near Liverpool.
Right. So it probably wasn't Stansted then.
No, it would no.
Anyway, where I don't know what. But somebody will tell me. This is where you miss.
We'll be
Owen,
getting emails now about betting tips for the Grand
Yeah,
National.
well, that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
that is where we bring the commercial news segment to a close. So we're going to hand things over to Nev to introduce the next really awesome part of the show.
Yes, well, this is really good actually, and I've not seen this yet, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. We've got a very special military news segment now, which is a great interview which Armando did with Larry, who's the crew chief of the P-51D Mustang from the Commemorative Air Force Dixie Wing, which is based at the museum in Peachtree City in Georgia. The website, which you can find out more information about, is dixiewing.org. That's DIXIE wing.org. And it'd be worth having a look at that. And we'll link to that in the show notes as well. But have a look at this video. Absolutely fascinating.
Hey guys, as you can see from the video, I'm standing in front of a beautiful airplane. It's a P-51D model. And I'm sitting here with Larry, who is the crew chief for this amazing airplane. It is part of the Commemorative Air Force. So, Larry, first of all, thank you for taking the time.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the Commemorative Air Force.
Okay, in 1957, actually, let me take you back and I'll tell you a little bit about the airplane and I'll get into the CAF portion.
Great, okay.
Okay, this aircraft was manufactured in 1944, May of 1944. I was born in September 1943, so see, we have a lot in common here. So the airplane was built towards the end of the war, but never was really accepted by the Army Air Corps. So it was actually surplused, even though it was a brand new airplane built for the war.
Oh, wow.
So since it was surplus, the Canadian Royal Air Force purchased this particular airplane, took it to Canada, kept it up there for several years, and trained their fighter pilots with it. Then when they got tired of this and more modern airplanes came out, the jets and that, so they put this aircraft up for sale, and there's two gentlemen from Texas that said, hey, let's go take a look at that Mustang and see if we can purchase it. And they did. They purchased it, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we have a bill of sale, the original bill of sale for this aircraft for like $1,500.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, so these two gentlemen actually used this aircraft. This is the first aircraft that they purchased to start the Commemorative Air Force. Back then, it was called the Confederate Air Force. So this airplane goes all the way back to the beginning of the Confederate Air Force. Today, we have about 170 World War II aircraft in the entire fleet of the CAF, and approximately 55 units. We say units, it's like a squadron. We're actually considered a wing because we've got more than 300 members, but there are squadrons and wings all over the United States, and I think they total around 50 or 55. Wow. So pretty much an average of one per state. Some have two, some don't have any.
Yeah, and I remember growing up as a kid in Manassas, Virginia, we used to get the Confederate Air Force that come in, and it was a huge deal when they came in, usually with the bombers. Now, I think they flew the B-29 for a long time, right?
Yes, we have a B-29 stationed in Arizona. It's called Fifi.
Yeah.
And of course, we have B-17s, B-25s, a lot of the Navy fighter bombers type aircraft. We have an SB-2C, which is a dive bomber that actually the one we have is one of three that are flying. The SBD is actually the one like we have. We don't have the SB-2C, but the SBD actually sunk 4 carriers at the Battle of Midway.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's amazing to work around these aircraft and be able to touch and feel them and keep them alive and actually tell the history of these airplanes and how they played a part in us winning the war.
So obviously the aircraft have great histories attached to them. What are the members of the Commemorative Air Force? What are some of the backgrounds, and how do you get involved with the Commemorative Air Force?
To become a member, we all have to be a member of the headquarters, CAF, and there's a membership fee of $200 to become a member, and then each squadron or each wing has their own annual fees. So with ours, it's like $48 a year to belong to the Dixie wing of the CAF, and $200 a year for the headquarters part of it. So people say, "Oh, you're lucky to get to work on this." Say, well, we pay a little money to do that, but it's
Totally
an
worth it,
honor.
I'm sure, right?
It's an honor to try to educate the young people about, the importance of having warbirds like this, and to let them know that winning the war takes more than just trying to negotiate across the table. Sometimes you have to fight a war, and you need the equipment to do that.
And so I think most people would know the Commemorative Air Force from air shows, but just by us sitting right now on Eglin Air Force Base, obviously the Commemorative Air Force does more than just air shows, right?
Yeah, we are fortunate to have a 5-year contract with the Air Force to take their test pilot students up for each of them get a 1-hour experience in this particular aircraft. It's a little unique from most aircraft. This has a laminar flow wing. It has different stall characteristics than a conventional wing. We have a lot of torque with this large prop on the front of the airplane, so that pilots can't just shove the throttle all the way forward without having to use a little bit of care and get a feel for it. So we let the test pilots experience that. We take them up to, they don't get to take off and land, but we do let them taxi on the ground, get them to experience having to make S-turns, because as you see, there's not much straight ahead visibility in the Mustang. So they get to experience the S-turns as they're taxiing, and then the instructor pilot gets them up in the air, and once he gets them in the air, he lets them take over, and then it gives them the profile that they need to go through to experience stalls and steep, tight turns and steep climbs and dives. But they get to do that, so we go through 2 classes a year, 24 per class, and it's good for them and it's good for us, and it helps us promote the CAF as well.
Well, and that's a perfect example of having to appreciate the past to be able to look forward to the future, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. We have pilots, of course. We have pilots, we have flight engineers, we have drone pilots. I'm not sure what the acronym is that they use for those guys, but they come from varying backgrounds, the test pilot students. But all of them, when they fly in the Mustang, are excited that they got to have that experience. Well, so it makes it fun for us as well.
I'll tell you what, speaking of the people, what's your background? How did you get involved with airplanes, with aviation? You said you joined the Air Force.
I joined the Air Force in 1962 and went to aircraft maintenance school. And my first assignment out of tech school was McCoy Air Force Base, which, if any of you are familiar with,
it's in Orlando.
Orlando. MCO is the acronym for the base, for the airport, which used to be McCoy. That's how they came up with the MCO.
I think a lot of people will probably be surprised by that.
Yeah. So, so I was stationed there. I was assigned to a T-33. It was a SAC base. We had all B-52s and KC-135s, but we had one T-33 that was used for pilots to keep their currency up. So we flew 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock, and they got their hours in, and between flights we'd be polishing up on the T-33. So that was my beginning in aviation. Then I was assigned to an F-100 squadron in Misawa, Japan, and I was there for a while and reassigned from Misawa, Japan to Kadena Air Force Base in Okinawa. And there I worked in field maintenance, which is anything too extreme to work out on a repair on a flight line. They brought it to the hangar to have maintenance performed. We had primarily F-105s there, but I also worked on F-101s, 102s, and different types of aircraft other than the F-105s.
And there's a lot of books that have been recently published about those sort of pioneers. Those were the first days of electronic warfare, where the F-100s and the F-105s, the first sort of rudimentary radars and rudimentary defensive systems. And I just read a book, I actually can't remember the name of it right now, but it was amazing to go back and read about those late 60s pilots and ground crews and really pioneering the technology that we have today in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. So now, how did you personally get involved with the P-51?
I live in Senoia, Georgia, which is adjacent to Peachtree City. There's a small airport there that has the Dixie wing of the CAF, and I thought I'll just go down there and see what they have. And when I walked in the hangar, this was the airplane that caught my eye.
As it would, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and so I was able to start, helping the crew chief with it, and fell in love with the airplane, and it's a labor of love. I enjoyed it. So when he was not able to maintain it anymore, then they gave me the reins. But I guess I got to go back and tell you that to be a crew chief, you have to have your A&P license. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I didn't have. So at age 72, and this is for any young people that's tired of going to school and you think, oh, it's too late for me. It's never too late to learn. So at age 72, I got my A&P license.
That's great.
So that's then once they handed the responsibility over to me, I've been maintaining it for about 2 years now.
Yeah. Now, does this airplane have sort of an agenda for the rest of the year? Will it be going to different air shows?
Yes. We have a schedule already of the different places that we're going to appear. One that comes to mind is the Charlotte Speedway. We're going to hook up with 2 other Mustangs and do a flyover prior to the race, beginning of the race.
Oh, that's great.
And I believe they want to do a missing man formation, even though we'll only have 3 airplanes, but they want to pay honor and respect to the fallen soldiers and do a missing man formation, prior to the national anthem.
Well, that's great.
So that's Charlotte Motor Speedway. We'll be going to Reading, Pennsylvania, the first week of June. That is the world's largest World War II reenactor venue. Goes on for a whole week. They have thousands and thousands of reenactors there, as well as nothing but World War II type of aircraft. So it's almost like stepping back in time. So if anyone's in the Reading, Pennsylvania area, it's well worth going to see and spending some time there.
Well, really, that sounds like if you're anywhere on the East Coast, it's worth taking a trip up there.
That's
isn't
right.
it?
And then, of course, we always go to Oshkosh, and there are thousands of planes there, not all World War II vintage, but when we fly in with this, last year we actually had the honor of escorting That's All Brother. That's the
that's a C-47,
it's a
right?
C-47 that actually led the invasion, dropping troops over Normandy.
Yeah.
So we hooked up with that, gave it a fighter escort, and flew in a 2-ship. The year before, we were able to fly into Oshkosh in a 7-ship formation. 3 Mustangs, a Corsair, 2 P-63s, a P-39, and I think that might be 7.
I'm getting goosebumps just at the idea of the sound of that coming over the airfield.
Yeah,
That's
it's
amazing.
awesome. They love it when we come in with the Warbirds.
Yeah.
They roll out the red carpet for us.
Now, you said there was a website that people can go to specific to the Dixie Wing?
If people are interested in seeing, learning more about us, just go to www.dixiewing.org, and that'll bring up our webpage, and it'll bring up information about Red Nose as well as the other airplanes that we have.
That's great. Now, we actually always end an interview with one question, and it is, if you could fly or fly in any airplane in the world, now I'm asking this question to somebody that works on a P-51, and you've taken backseat rides in this, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, maybe you can tell me about that later. But I guess we can include the any airplane in the world, what would you fly or fly in?
If I could get a ride in SR-71, I would love it. But you couldn't stand me, because if I ever flew an SR-71, of which I know they're not flying anymore, I don't think I would let you stand in the same shadow. I would be so cocky. So yeah, SR-71 would be pretty exciting. My next after that might be a U-2. Backseat into U-2 would be great.
Well, there you go. That's a amazing choice for somebody that has flown in and works on a P-51 Mustang.
Oh yeah.
I'm just happy sort of to be standing next to the Mustang, and I did get a chance to sit in it. What an amazing airplane, and it is impeccable. There is not a spot on it.
Don't look too close.
Well, it looks amazing. It looks like you've been doing some great work on it, and
Thank you.
I definitely appreciate you bringing this to Eglin Air Force Base and getting not just the pilot's experience, but you've been doing tours too. So probably to some of the base personnel. So thank you, sir.
All right. My
Thank
pleasure.
you for everything you do for
you.
this airplane and the Commemorative Air Force.
My pleasure.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.
Wow. Thank you for that,
Very cool.
Armando.
Yeah, absolutely.
How good was that?
That was a brilliant aircraft. Very pretty. I'm hearing an echo.
Oh,
So am I. Something's going on here.
we got a lovely echo.
I don't know what's going on. Hang on. Something. I know what it is. There we go. Let's try that. There we go.
That's better.
Sorry about that.
Yes. Here
Something
we
I
are.
was playing with during the break has gone terribly wrong. Anyway.
Moving on. So SR-71, he said that he would love to have the chance to fly. I think there's a lot of people in the kind of military aviation kind of world that would love to fly an SR-71. Now, I picked up on something earlier on this week in the news feeds. For those of you who may have heard about a company that sells kind of luggage tags. They're called plane tags. You can find them if you Google search them by a company called Motoar, and they make limited edition luggage tags from famous. Some of them are famous aircraft.
Okay.
I have one at home, a piece of the Gimli glider, which was the 767 that ran out of fuel and landed on a racetrack many moons ago. But the company Motoar, the plane tags, they're actually now releasing a special limited edition plane tag from an SR-71 Blackbird. So for those of you who are interested in owning a piece of the aircraft, I think this piece actually comes from the stabilizer section of the actual SR-71. Take yourselves over there. They are limited. They've made 2,250 of these, which they're selling on their website. So if you want to own a piece of an SR-71, I think Jonathan Warner's probably now going on their website.
Tony S is absolutely horrified that they've cut up an SR-71. I think that's just he's not impressed.
But that does look very nice. That's a very nice tag.
That is a nice tag. Yeah. They do. The guys do a really good job of producing these tags from parts of aircraft. I know. Captain Nick's got a piece of a A340. I think it is that he actually had flown. And he has his very own luggage tag made from part of that aircraft. Which
if anybody wants to go to the website, by the way, it is www.dixiewing.org, or if that doesn't work, then it's definitely Dixie, DIXIEWING, dixiewing.org is where you'll find that. It's a very nice little website, actually.
Yeah, that was a great... I mean, Armando's, he's really doing well with these interview things, isn't he?
He's taken like a duck to water, isn't he?
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
absolutely.
He is.
It's like every sort of week now. It's another iconic aircraft.
Yeah,
that he's,
and
had a chance
Nev, not a sign of vertical video anywhere.
No, he's doing it properly, and we
Yes.
like that. So he's got the hang of it very nicely. So brilliant. Looking forward to some more stuff from him too.
Yeah, definitely.
So we are going to start to wrap up the show, but I thought as we've got Mila here in the PTUK studios, we'd have a quick catch up with what you've been up to, and if you've had any interesting flights lately in the ATP.
Any interesting flights? Well, I met our CEO the other day in Oslo. That was
that's always
brilliant.
scary.
We had dinner together.
Oh wow!
You had dinner with the CEO of your airline.
You didn't throw any food over him, did you?
No. No, but that was really nice. I was supposed to be on standby in Oslo, and I got to fly quite a bit, which was also very good.
An added bonus, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Lots of de-icing going on? Or?
No, it wasn't. It was just above freezing level.
Oh, okay.
So we were lucky, but there was a lot of snow still on the ground. So,
So Tony's actually asking in the chat room here, what of all the destinations you fly to, which one's your favourite? Obviously, other than the UK.
Other than the UK.
Oh, that is hard. I like Guernsey. Just
nice.
because we have a day stop there, and that's very nice. But I also liked flying up to Tromsø during the night when there was northern lights and a lot of stars, and that was very pretty.
Have you seen the Northern Lights from
I
your flight?
have,
Really?
actually,
Wow. From the air.
twice.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I've flown to Tromsø twice, and both times I saw the northern lights. So
Oh my!
Oh, that is so
I was
good.
very, very lucky.
Robbie Allen is asking, what's the hardest part of your job?
What is the hardest part?
Not having any passengers.
I think that's the best part of your job, isn't it?
I don't know. I haven't figured that one out yet. So,
No, it's a work in progress.
Yes.
There must be something, I guess. But
well, the 2 breakfasts is very hard.
I'm sorry, what?
The 2 breakfasts. 'Cause
Okay,
at
you need to explain
At some
that.
routes, we get up at 4 a.m.
Yes.
and we have breakfast,
Okay.
and then we fly. We land at 7. We get to the hotel, and we have breakfast again.
Oh, okay.
So there you go.
Captain Al will be very, very proud of you.
Jonathan Warner has got a question for you, Mila. He says, is most of your flying at night?
It is. It is usually planned evenings to early evenings, 7, 8, 9 o'clock. And then in the mornings, 4, 5 o'clock-ish. And sometimes you have flights that are midnight to 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, so it is all of it, night flying. But if you have a stopover, that gives you enough time to sleep, eat, and then enjoy wherever it is you're staying.
So what's
for a
the
little bit.
longest flight that you've done in the ATP?
I've done a single trip from Oslo to Marseille, which was 4 hours.
Oh.
So that was pretty long. And then a Kaunas, which was there and back, and that was 3 hours each way.
Nev, there's a
So-
couple more questions in the chat room.
Oh, there are, yes. And unfortunately, I can't seem to access that at this very moment. Oh, I can now.
Oh, right.
There you go.
I was trying to include you, Nev. I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. I was just wondering why my browser had shut itself off.
Oh, right.
Quick question from Andy Furlong for you, Mila. Have you used a selfie stick out of the cockpit window yet?
I do not own a selfie
Very
stick.
good. That is
So
the
there you
correct
go.
answer. Yeah.
Okay.
I like it. What's your favourite song on karaoke? Tony is asking.
My guilty pleasure is Disney songs.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
So I will
Okay.
sing that both in English and Dutch.
Very, oh,
So
right.
next time you're in Oslo, you'll be singing "Let It Snow."
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Have I ever had any sticky situations flying? Well, I haven't been flying much.
I think what
Long,
VC10
but-
Ron means is how technically challenging is the ATP to fly.
It is a very nice airplane. I've had to do 2 go-arounds, which were weather-related, crosswind related. And that was a very good thing to do. From a training perspective, I guess. And we had 1 electrical failure once and returned to the airfield. So that was it.
Pip's asking,
Basically.
where's your phone?
Here.
He can't help himself, can he? Honestly.
Sorry.
Now, some people might have noticed because he keeps fuzzing in and out, but it's the very first visit to the studio by none other than let's do it on this camera here. Let's do this. There you go. Look. There you go. Oh, hello.
There we go.
Ooh. It's auto done the audio there. Sorry about that. There we go. So this is Charles. Now people who watch the show regularly, Carlos, behave. Honestly. So this is actually Charles the bear. Now he does literally go with you everywhere, doesn't he?
He goes with me everywhere, and wherever I go, I take a picture, and it's going to be a collection of pictures of Charles's travels. So there you go.
Well, there we are.
Look forward to that later this year.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to have his own Instagram account at this rate, isn't he?
Well, not an Instagram account, but there you go.
Why, Poppy's got her own Facebook profile. I mean,
Yeah, she does. Yes, he's not actually joking.
No.
I can't talk, but Alfie used to have one as well before I deleted my Facebook. So never mind.
So what's the plans for next week, Marley? You've got any good flights to go on?
Yeah, I'm going to the islands. So that's Guernsey, Isle of Man. I'm flying to Inverness and back And yeah.
What's it like flying into the Isle of Man? I think it's a challenging airport to get into.
So far, I haven't had any problems. It's been quite good. Yeah.
With the winds and stuff. 'Cause it
well,
can be
yes, it was quite windy the other day, but yeah, it's been all right. I've been lucky weather-wise and winter-wise and storm-wise, so fingers crossed it will stay that way.
Wow. Well.
So, are you looking to get into the left seat?
Well, not for another 3 years, but eventually, maybe, yes.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
It's very. I still can't believe it. You know, it's just the coolest thing. Like,
I know.
We're so lucky that we've made so many friends doing this who are all pilots and things.
I know.
It's the whole science and logic behind this flying thing still melts my mind. Not as much as helicopter pilots. That doesn't make sense to me. They're but as I say, they're made in Hogwarts as far as I'm concerned. But it's pretty cool. So as I say, we look forward to regular updates on how you're getting on.
Talking about the left seat, one of my friends who is actually in the left seat is in the chat room right now.
Oh.
So, hello, and thank you for being there.
Okay, are you going to give him a name check?
It's Robbie Allen. So
hello, Robbie.
Hello, Robbie.
Very good. Yes.
So you'll move to that left seat even quicker now because you're famous.
Yeah, no. Usually appearances on here are a hindrance to one's career rather than actually doing very well. I mean, Nev's career has been going pretty much downhill ever since he joined, really.
Oh yes, it has, and it's not surprising.
No, absolutely. Well, we're going to sort of start to wrap up now. Nev, have you got anything exciting on this week?
Well, let me have a think. Nothing particularly major. Oh, we're doing some filming actually on Monday at the University of Hertfordshire. So not very far from here.
Is that a secret project, or are we allowed to ask what that's all about?
No. It's I'm doing it for the company I work for, so that'll be quite good. Just as I think about it, don't forget on Sunday, May the 12th.
What's happening?
We are going to be at Duxford for a bit of a APG PTUK Plane Safety podcast.
Absolutely.
So I hope the weather's nice. We'll have the film crew there, and we'll all be there, and looking forward to seeing as many people as coming on. It's a regular Duxford day, isn't it? Not a special event.
No. It's just a regular Duxford day.
As long as the ice cream man is there, then we'll be good.
Indeed. And one of the things that Pip was actually saying, because obviously Pip's very much involved in the organisation of this as well, he's saying if anybody does actually, if you could get in touch and let us know that you're definitely coming, what we can try and organise is a group ticket, which actually makes entry to Duxford a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So if you are planning to come on the day, do please email us podcast@planetalkinguk.com. That's podcast@planetalkinguk.com, or you can get in touch with Pip.
James Honor is asking what date was that?
Now Nev is very good at stuff like that.
So
that's Sunday, May the 12th.
May
the
12th. Not the Saturday, which is what I said in last week's show. So it's Sunday, May the 12th, as I say. And if you are able to make it, if you perhaps email us, as I say, we can try and organise a group ticket, which will help to make it a bit cheaper for everyone. I know it's not a massive saving, but a couple of £3 is frankly a pipe. Is frankly a pint in the plough-in afterwards, isn't it? Let's be honest. So let's do that. Podcast@planetalkinguk.com. Or if you're more comfortable doing so, then you can contact Pip directly. I'm sure he'll be able to do that. If you take yourself to his website, he'll be able to sort of take details as well.
So don't forget, you can find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter, and also you can find us on Instagram as well. We try and keep up to date with all the social medias. But if you are going to come and meet with us on the 12th of May, it'd be great if you could drop us a line via the website or the email address, and let us know you're coming, so we can kind of put a guest list together as such.
Absolutely.
Kind of thing.
And as I say, we can hopefully try and make entry to Duxford a little bit cheaper. So
I
do absolutely. What are you up to this week?
What am I doing this week? Hopefully, I shall be based in my newly built office within my warehouse.
Oh, do you have an
this
office?
Week. Yes. If the weather's nice, I shall be sitting outside watching the general aviation fly over.
Oh, of course,
and aircraft. Because I've got my boss Stuart. I'm turning him into a nav geek now.
Are you? Very good. Okay.
Yeah. And he's also
on behalf of all listeners everywhere, Stuart, I'm very sorry.
He's actually he's starting to watch the show as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
Blimey, I better behave yourself. Milo, what are you up to? Where are you off to? Where's your next destination?
My next destination, I don't memorize my schedule.
What?
Because it
Carlos
changes.
does. He knows
But
where virtually
I
all of our
stalk
pilots.
all the pilots.
He sucks all of these.
Second, my next trip is actually to Aberdeen. So there you go.
very nice.
East Midlands to Aberdeen.
How very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's Easter holidays for me, so not really a lot driving-wise going on. I've got a couple of trips lined up, but working tomorrow and stuff. But yeah, so very quiet for me this week. I should be making sure that my trusty steed is shiny and gleaming.
I washed my vehicle.
Did
this
you?
afternoon.
Right, yes. So it's a very hectic week for me. I've got to get that all ready for when the kids go back. Because it's Easter next week.
Oh, blimey, it is, isn't it?
Good Friday and
We get Friday and Monday off.
We get Friday and Monday off. There we are. It's made
good
Carlos's
for
day,
you.
isn't it? Do you get the bank holidays off, Nev?
Yes, we do. Yeah, looking
thank
forward to that
goodness
very
for that.
much.
Absolutely.
So nice.
Definitely.
And
long weekend.
on the note of next week's show, we do have a guest coming on the show next week. He's not been on for a while, but he has got some rather interesting stories to tell us
absolutely.
in regards to the Dreamliner. So we're looking
Indeed.
forward
So
to
if
that.
you've got your questions for Brian Coleman, do send them in to us on podcast@planetalkinguk.com. Any questions you've got for Brian, then do obviously ping us. He is it's certainly when it comes to United, he is the expert.
He is the expert. Yeah, Brian has been sampling the delights of the Polaris and all the various kind of upgrades and suites that United have on offer on the Dash 9 and Dash 10 Dreamliner. So it'd be good to speak to Brian and have him on the show next week.
Indeed, yes. So that's it. That's where we bring the show to a close. Thanks very much for joining us. As always, it's www.planetalkinguk.com is the website. Podcast@planetalkinguk.com is the email address. It's Facebook and Twitter. Search all social media, Instagram, the lot. It's @planetalkinguk is our handle.
Well, that's it then. We're going to say a big thanks to everyone who has joined us this evening in the YouTube chat room. Big thanks to everyone.
And I think for once, seeing as Nev has made it to the end of the show this week, which I'm very pleased about, I think we should leave the final word.
Round of applause to Nev.
Absolutely.
Yay, Nev.
Well done.
And the final
Very
word,
kind.
I think, on today's show should come from Nev.
Well, that's very kind. And yes, the cold has finally gone just about, so I'm very pleased about that. But in the meantime, thank you very much for joining us this week, and look forward to seeing everybody at the same time next week.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.